Bob, what I know about you, which is little, is the fact that
That's the way I like it.
One, you're a very compassionate guy. You've always been that, and yet you have a flair for the thespian aspect of it. Do the two skill sets match up? I mean,
Yeah. And I've been during this COVID time. I've been doing a lot of reading, and when you think of what a writer puts down on paper and what a actor presents to you, and what you get from just people on the street, it's really all the same. It's in a different format, but you're getting somebody's story, and I guess that storytelling is kind of where I'm at. And I was a teacher. I mean, and you got to make up some stories, you got to tell some stories, you got to keep the class rolling. So it all works. I mean, if you don't have some compassion, you'll never be able to portray a character on stage that an audience is going to buy. Because that's the first complaint you hear about a movie or a book. I didn't care what happened to him. I didn't care what happened to that character. They didn't move me at all, and that's the kiss of death. Yeah.
Did this come naturally to you? Were your family members, your mom and dad, were they part of this?
No, not at all. Both my parents could sing, but they didn't sing anywhere around the house and that. But no, none of that. And I was not on stage. I mean, I think I did something for Sunday school or something, but I was never on anything in school till I was probably 26, and I got a part in the Dunkirk Fredonia Community Players, and met people from there. The first day I moved it, then I got the job, and I got the job through the theater. Somebody that was in the theater said, they're looking for teachers at BOCES. And I said, oh, what's BOCES? What's a BOCES, And then I was a BOCE, And then the first day I moved to Jamestown, I went to a little theater. That was courage. I knew nobody, and then you had to sing in front of a group. I had never sung in front of a group, and I'll tell you, I sang "Tonight" from the West Side Story. I mean, like, pick a song, Oh, what's the matter with "Row, Row Your Boat"? No, I picked "Tonight," later people said to me, they were just, they didn't compliment my singing. They complimented my courage that I got up in front of a bunch of strange people and sang "Tonight."
Quite a range.
Unaccompanied. Unaccompanied. And I got a part, and that was Gibby Brand. That was long. That was 1970, and that's where I met my wife at the theater. My friends, the people who are my friends today, are from my little theater days.
Was Ruth Wilbur part of that at the time?
Oh, not Doris. Doris Wilbur.
Sure.
Doris Wilbur and I were a mother and son, and the play was called The Old Lady Shows Her Medals. I think that was it. And she was a Scottish mother, and I was a I gave a clem just thinking of it. And she was a delightful, oh my God, she helped me with my accent, because I didn't have an accent at the time. And it was this lovely little old Scottish woman who never, whether she had a son or not, you don't know. Whether Kenneth was her son or not, you don't know. But the relationship between those two was just priceless. And Doris and I were, forever mother and son. She was a lovely lady.
She was our music teacher at Bush School.
Oh, was she?
So my first exposure to any kind of theater whatsoever was Doris Wilbur.
Yeah, jeez. There was a bunch of Marge Broadhead was fabulous. Armide Brown. There was some of the. She just passed away too. Martha Jordan. I mean, they were fabulous actresses. Unfortunately, I didn't know Maddie Osgood. Well, I think I did meet her, because Bob Plyler used to squire her around, like he'd bring her to the plays and stuff. So I think I did meet her. Yeah. No, it all just sort of happened. And my kids all have, and then Irene is very talented, has a wonderful voice, and that's where we met, at the theater. And my kids all were in shows and can sing, and don't do anything with it now, but it was a good part of their upbringing.
Robert Jackson Center started, as we learned today in the Post-Journal, in 2001. And we wanted to do some splash. Our first law day, 2001, was Eugene Gerhardt came as a biographer. So we had to do something in 2001. So 2002, we wanted to do something splashy. And I don't know how, you got to tell the story, but you became an actor as Robert H. Jackson. How did that happen?
Geez, I really don't know. I'm not begging the question here. I really don't know. I just knew that the law day, John Sember was involved with you guys, and John dragged me in somehow. I don't know who. I think it was through our Shirley, who was a friend of his wife, who was a friend of my wife, or something. I'm not sure how that happened, really. And the Robert Jackson bits that I did, for Law Day or for whenever kids came in, I don't know how that happened. It was probably you that trapped me into that.
Well, perhaps, but I must have had some inspiration to know that you would willing, and two, you certainly look like him when you get dressed up, and at the time you had to shave.
Shave for that.
The mustache.
Yeah.
But you did such a great job, and we together came up with that concept of starting with some of the visual of Jackson's opening, and then you would take it from there.
Well, I think we wanted to get biography in there too. Right. So that's how it starts out with the introduction at Nuremberg, and then that kind of fades, and I walk out and I talk about myself, as Robert Jackson. I think that worked. I mean, the kids put him in a historical concept, and then they got the down-home look at, raised in Frewsburg. Frewsburg, that's a bunch of farmers. How did this guy go from Frewsburg to Nuremberg trials? Yeah.
And then we ended with the closing statement, and while there at the time, it's funny how I flash back, Henry King, a Nuremberg prosecutor, was actually part of that program. And John Barrett.
Yes. And then there was Matt Kraft. He had a little play that he had written that was really very good, and so local kids did it. Then we did the mock trials, and mock trials. There's no script. The kids. That was a new concept for the kids, but they got into it. They knew. They've seen enough trials on television, and they knew the courtroom setting and that. And we really worked with those kids. A girl named Courtney, I forget what her name is. I see her now every once in a while, and she every time she mentions that, oh my, that was the best part of school. And I think they got out of school to practice too, so that made it even better. Yeah, and then they did it for their peers.
Right, and then Judge Gerasi came in.
That's right, he did.
And we had stenographers. He brought everybody.
Ken Lasker. Greg.
Was it Greg Edwards?
Greg Edwards. Yeah, they were instructing and acting at the same time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, John, you and John, and of course your play acting was terrific. What did you learn did you know anything about Jackson before somebody asked you to portray him?
No. I mean, before I moved to Jamestown, no. But then I did know something about him. But I mean, and I'm not someone who delves in, does research. I write, but I write fiction, so that's all out of here. I don't have to, I'm not in the libraries or in the stacks looking up things. So I don't. So I know what is provided to me, sort of. I mean, I've certainly looked them up and read about them, and watched stuff on YouTube. Watched myself on YouTube. So I did. I think I was learning along with everybody else. I mean, I could put him in that place that he belonged, and appreciate him, but I didn't know all the ins and outs. And someone mentions melon, and I go, oh, cantaloupe. No, it's a different melon we're talking about, because I just watched that on PBS the other day. And that's real. That hour long is really, that video that is really good. That really gives you Robert Jackson, at his finest.
Well, and you gave it to everybody kind of a flavor of that 2002. So you think about that's really our first year. Our first year, you dressed up. And then subsequently, we did some other events. The one where we had the Robert H. Jackson Field dedication.
I remember that.
Tell me what you remember about that.
I remember I had to get in that airplane, and then then they had it hidden somewhere, and then it looked like it landed, and we taxied up, and I climbed out. I mean, I just about fell out. But and I had something prepared, and I had a little shtick with took my glasses off, and and greeted people by name, and I added, tried to make it seem like, I think some people thought that I was Robert Jackson, or people in the group, didn't know who that was or what. So I think a lot of those times I pulled that off. I was pretty happy that I, got out of there alive.
Well, that whole day was unbelievable to get to DC-3 to fly from Genesee, I think it was. And we had to convince the airport people to do that. And then you jump in, taxi, and the timing, because I'm filming this thing with Vince Horrigan, the county executive, talking about it.
You could see him out the window. You could see it out the window behind Vince. Yeah, I remember. Well, then we got on a train. We were to go into Faulkner or somewhere and got out a train with John Siggins. Was that his name, John Siggins? John Siggins as somebody and somebody else. I forget. And we came in and got off at the train station and schmoozed a little bit, and then that's all that was bringing. There wasn't any. Maybe there was. Maybe I did say a few words or something, but that was the same day, wasn't it?
I think it was. Yeah. A lot going on, and then we also had you a time. Well, you did the thing with Helen Ebersol.
Yeah. That was. Oh my God. Well, the best part about that was I spent a lot of time with Helen Ebersol, who was a great lady, and so we went through her script, and so I had 10 segments prepared, and so she would, feed me the questions, then I'd extemporaneously. I had no script. I would just extemporaneously answer her questions, and based on the information out of her book, and other stuff that was in my head, but. She was tough on me. I mean, she found mistakes. I called it World War II, but World War II hadn't happened yet, or something. And you didn't call it World War II because you didn't call. What was it? The Great War. The Great War. It wasn't even World War I. So that she corrected me on that. I mean, that was great. I mean, I appreciated that. Something else too. I used a word that was her and her son in the front row.
Right.
Talk about nervous. But that was, for me, that was a real challenge. I mean, to do an hour of Robert Jackson off the cuff,
I remember that specifically because I think there was a dry run first with just she and maybe her son.
No, I don't think they came to that.
Okay,
no. I don't know if you were there, but Marion was there, and people, staff like people, and I think maybe I had a friend or two there or something. I'm not sure. Maybe Irene was there, but the concept was a great concept, and I think we pulled it off. I mean, I wouldn't take that to Broadway, but people do one-man shows. I mean, who did Luckenbill do? Larry Luckenbill. He did Truman, or who did he do?
He did. I think he may have done Clarence Darrow.
He did Clarence Darrow, but
he did Truman too.
He did a present.
He did one here.
Yes, at the Little Theater. I remember that. Yeah. Well, and Hal Holbrook does Mark Twain. People do these one-man shows. But of course I didn't really imitate him. I just kind of did what I thought. I mean, conceitedly, I thought, that's how Jackson would answer that question. That's how he'd talk. That's how he'd sit. That's how he'd joke around. So, yeah, I think it came off.
Well, it did, and then we did a one in Warren, where it was. You were on your way to Washington. I think that was the time frame was like 1934. Yeah. And so therefore you were talking about your life, kind of Helen Ebersol time period. And then I think you were going to Washington.
Well, we also revamped that. So we brought in Warren names. and Warren
That's
and Warren
right.
Warren the horseback rides to Warren, and we we didn't. I didn't say we revamped it. Maybe we took a question out and put a new question in or something. But that's what it was, a series of 10 questions that I answered, well, that were asked to me like I knew nothing,
It's brilliant. I mean, it played so well, and you played so well, and I don't want to put it in the past tense because I want to leave open.
I've pretty much put a lot of things in the past tense. I'm not in the past tense, but a lot of the things that I don't go up on ladders anymore. Or I don't, I don't do a lot of things anymore.
Well, what did you learn from all of this? You really almost 20 years of portraying Jackson in some form or fashion. Today, did you feel like you learned a little bit more about the guy?
Yeah, and what I really learned, I learned as a father, you want the best for your kids and that, and you want your kids to go to a good school and all that. And then, now I rethink that whole thing. You don't have to go to school. I mean, if you're solid in your intellect or you're solid in your love for something, you can go ahead and do that. You can. And it depends on what you want. I mean, everybody says, oh, they quit things because so they can spend more time with their family. And that. Well, don't start things if it's going to impinge on your family. If your family is, and every obituary in the paper says, surrounded by his loving family, or to him or her, family was the most important thing, and and I believe that when I see that. But then I bet if you could talk to those people, they say, oh, I was out in that barn, I should have been helping my kids with their homework, but I had to be out in the barn. Well, that's a choice you make, or, so what did I learn? I learned that you can be yourself for that. I mean, maybe Jackson felt badly that he didn't spend more time with his kids, or, his wife, pestered him because he was, up too late, or he was in Washington and she was stuck in Jamestown or something. I don't know. But what I learned from all that time with him was that, you got to do your thing and you got to do it right. But, you got to think of yourself too. You only pass through here once, and I'd hate to have it on my tombstone, worked himself to death. But that could be on a lot of people's tombstones.
Sure. Are there other incidents as you reflect back when you were putting out? Well, first of all, what did you do to prepare yourself? I mean, in a sense, physically, what did you do? Did you dye your hair?
I did, yeah. And for the one time, this lady was supposed to come do my hair, and I kept calling her. Oh yeah, I'll be along. I'm getting panicked here. So Marion Beckering, she ended up dyeing my hair. Well, I had more hair then too. I've had some issues with my skin on my face, and so I had more. My hair was really short, but it's a little bit longer now. But yeah, I did that, and I had that great suit. I had that fabulous suit. With a man named Lauster. I bought that for $2.50 at St. Luke's gift shop. And it was Mr. Lauster's name. Bud Lauster, that's right. And one day I saw his daughter. And I said to her, I'm wearing your dad's suit. Oh my, she knew the suit, she knew the suit and all that. She was so happy. His name was in the suit, open the suit up and there's his name. Yeah. So she was so happy I was wearing that suit. But I got, the suit kind of transformed you, and you get yourself psyched up for it, But that Robert Jackson thing, I studied for weeks. I never put that down. I always had something going. Had the folder with me of all that information, because as I said, there wasn't a script. It was the question, and then there was all this information that would fit into that answer. But it worked. Yeah.
Well, you because of that, you got to learn about the John Barrett's Jackson, the Helen Ebersol Jackson, and everybody. It's in one sense it's daunting to learn something about, but nobody knew much about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned John Q. Barrett. I mean, amazing individual. He does an email that I have to read it. If I don't read it right then, I save it and I read it. But not I mean, I don't let much time go by because another one's coming, you know, and it's always something pertinent. The last one was pretty good. They're all pretty good, but it gives you a little bit of insight too. But I mean, how many towns have someone like Jackson? You know, and you do hear every once in a while. I heard it on television one time, the most popular small town museum. I don't know where it is, but it's to Jimmy Stewart. I mean, people go to Jimmy Stewart's hometown, whatever it is, and they go through. It's probably maybe I don't know this childhood home or whatever it is, but I mean, like we have Lucy, you know. But and we have Roger Troy Peterson. Let's not forget him. You know, we are a lucky small town.
No question.
Yeah.
And to have guys like Bob Terry. Oh my God.
You think there'd be a museum? Do you think there'd be a museum in my name? I don't think so. No.
Well, we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about the fact that one of your lives you were at the Shoestring Players you played at the center, the Scottish Rite Sisters.
Yeah. So that's what's lovely about that. I mean, here I have. My whole life in Jamestown has been, a good percentage of my life in Jamestown has been at the Robert Jackson Center. I mean, it was the Scottish Rite, and we did shoestring plays there for years, I can't remember. In fact, I was thinking the other day about Jim Levison. Do you remember that name, Jim Levison? Absolutely. Jim Levison gave me a whole box of photographs he had taken over the years at the plays. Oh my God, it's like you go through this box and you go, oh my God, I forgot he was in that. Oh my God, look what she's wearing. But, and I'm going to send it to David Corbin. Dick Corbin, who was the director of the Shoestring Players, his son, has all his dad's stuff, all the scripts and photos and all that. So I'm going to send this to him after I take out a couple pictures. Well, there's more than triple copies of some of these, but every once in a while that stuff pops up, or people will say, oh, I remember when you and Irene did Man of La Mancha. I remember, my wife and I went and saw such and such, or we used to go to all the plays at Shoestring, and we did have a good audience. I don't think we ever played to, 20 people. We always had a good audience.
For those who don't know, and there's the term Shoestring Players. Was it an incorporated organization? Was it what was the organization size?
I don't know if it was incorporated or not. It was really, it was Dick Corbin. Dick Corbin was, was the backbone of the whole thing. He organized everything. He was a musician. He was the director. That was his thing. And it was a real honor when I got to direct a play there. I had been in 10, 20 or whatever, and he asked if I wanted to direct a play. So I did 2 there for him. And that was great. But it was the right, you say, well, it was the right thing at the right time. Shoestring came in. It was not an offshoot. It was a reaction to Little Theater. There was more people that wanted to be in plays than there were plays, and there was, so that's how the Shoestring got started. And there's been other groups since then too, the Bunbury, and I had a production company, and Theater for a Cause. There was, there's the Spire. There's it's always been theater and people interested, but so you could bounce from one to the other, and I did a lot of that. But it got started. Dick was a Mason, I guess, and somebody said, well, do something to entertain the Masons. Well, next thing you know, you're doing a season, But the Shoestring, it was a Shoestring. There were no sets, costumes and curtains, and, but that's okay. It's okay. A lot of shows don't have big sets, and a lot of it, that's where all your money goes, and it really doesn't mean anything,
But it was more than play reading. You didn't read the plays. You
no. Learn the script. Yeah. Full production, musicals, mostly musicals. A few straight plays, mostly musicals. Yeah, a lot of people. As I said, the people I knew from theater are still my friends today. Jim, Ruth Walton, and Matt Smith, his wife Kathy, all kinds of, And there was kids, people who are friends of mine now, who were like 14 and 15. They were, in the chorus, and they sold tickets, and they did stuff like that. 14, 15, and they're still, and they babysat our kids, and, we sang at their wedding, whatever. Our lives are entwined because of that theater connection, and that's a nice thing that Jamestown offers.
Now, was most of the shoestring plays at the Scottish Rite Consistent?
They were all there. Yeah, we would take something on the road, whatever that means, to a Mason Hall in Gowanda. We did something on Lake Placid. I think we did 2 shows there, Jacques Brel and I forget what the other one was. But we would do something like that. I think we did something at the Crystal Ballroom once. But that was the home of them. That was the easiest thing to do. Schlepping is not in my repertoire. I mean, I've done a lot of schlepping, but I'd rather not.
I know John Fuchs was very much.
Very much. There. Oh yeah. He was the tech. He was the genius, the boy genius. He still is. Yeah, behind all that, absolutely. Yeah.
I just saw this past weekend for the camera, John's Christmas.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And he got the Axel Carlson Award. Yeah. I think it's 11 or 12 years of that show. Yeah. That's a workhorse.
Stuff that's come out over the last 20 years has been fun. But no more fun, I frankly can tell you, than the surprise and the ability of Bob Terreberry to be Robert Jackson.
Well, you were the one that. Oh no, did I come to you and say I have an idea?
I think it was you coming to me. I didn't know that you. I mean, I knew you were an actor.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you'd say, "Let's."
I think that's how that started. Yeah. Well, I have good ideas once in a while.
It was a great idea, and the next thing you know, you sent scripts to me, and because you were trying to convince me that you could do it. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but you kept sending me emails. Here's what my idea is. You were working it, man.
Well, I really did that with Helen too, because I figured that was the little thing that we could do, and she was so, so easy to work with and so willing, so I didn't have to really push her, but I called her and went to her house, and so it was all worth it, Greg.
Well, you indelibly stamped yourself as Robert Jackson, and I was just the other day watching 2002. I mean, this is day one. We're still working our way through what we're going to be when we grow up. But to have the video start of Jackson's opening statement, there it is. Actually having him scream, and then go to fade, and then you pick up, and go, and then all of a sudden you get to the closing statement. You start it, and then all of a sudden we go back to video. It's spectacular.
Now I don't. That was not my idea. I don't know whose idea that was.
Well, it was probably a little bit. Boy, I wanted to use the video, but we had pieces, only a small piece at the beginning and the end. So we had the bookend, and you filled in the all of it.
But it was like 2 days long, wasn't it? I was not going to do 2 days of Robert Jackson.
The opening statement was forever. But just the mere fact that we came up with that idea, I'm sure it was Ed, you and me, saying, all right, could we do this? And then somebody actually figuring out how to fade. I mean, as stupid as it sounds, but today it's no big deal
today. No. What was that? Was that 2002? Was that when it was? Oh my gosh!
20 years ago.
Oh my gosh!
So that was that was our really first school law day event.
Oh, okay.
We'd never done the schools before. The year before, when we did day one, it was just a late night. We brought in the author of Jackson's biography, Eugene Guerra. And we had just closed on the building a month earlier. It was a disaster. The building was a disaster. So we had to, put lipstick on a pig.
Well, it's no longer a disaster. It's a showplace. It is. Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Bob Terreberry.
Pleasure. It's like memories. It's like going back, and it's a good thing to do. And I can do that in my attic every day, because I just go up to him, and Irene says, "What are you going to do with all that stuff?" I said, "I'm not doing anything with it."
The kids.
The kids are doing. Well, I did ask at the because I have, those tote bins. I have 2 of them full of theater stuff. I have a Robert Jackson. I'll put that all in some kind of order too. But they'll take that. The History Center will take that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd be honored.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we have an event. I'm into events.
Thanks for making me think.
Well, been great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.